Good evening. I am Mark Ivy. Welcome to the latest edition of Kernels from the Cornfield. No huss, no hulls, no shucks. News with a dash of commentary to spice up your fare for Tuesday, May 27, 2014. Bringing home the troops. American withdrawal of troops by the year's end in the country known as the Graveyard of Empires will bring a close to America's longest foreign war. Casualties to date are around 2,200. Thousands more have come home broken and wounded. Even though the majority of troops will be headed back to the States, some 9,800 will remain until the end of 2016, just before the president leaves office. This is not what President Barack Obama promised in his State of the Union speech in 2012, when he said all troops would be withdrawn by the end of 2014. Of course, all of this depends on whether the person elected to replace Afghanistan President Hamid Karzai later this year agrees to sign an agreement to protect those American men and women left behind for security purposes and transition to the Afghans to control their own future. For what it's worth, keeping those nearly 10,000 soldiers in Afghanistan next year will cost about $20 billion. Oops! The station chief of the CIA in Afghanistan was leaked to over 6,000 members of the press, including foreign members of the media, Sunday in advance of the president's surprise visit to thank the troops personally at Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Immediately, the press pool release was retracted and a new list sent out, but too late. The White House and CIA are now trying to lessen the damage from the disclosure of the top U.S. spook in the war-torn country. The entire spy mission may have to leave and new operatives take their place. California carnage. Too much attention, in my opinion, is being given the deranged 22-year-old man who wielded knives, guns in his car in a deadly rampage which left 6 people murdered and 13 others injured. More focus is on the madman than the victims. His YouTube video and his manifesto are getting attention that it should not be given. He is fulfilling his goal, which was not met in life, of attention and notoriety. Let the lawyers, law enforcement, and mental health specialists sort it all out without the 15 minutes of fame he craved. This is why I have not mentioned his name, nor the link to his video, nor his manifesto, nor will I do so. Let him die in ostracism and obscurity as he lived. Since the tragic mass shooting in California Friday night by this lone gunman, wielding knives, guns in his vehicle to wreak death and mayhem on unsuspecting victims, discussion has turned to mental health and mental illness. The subject of identifying and keeping those suffering from some type of mental illness has been linked to talks of gun control, ways to keep those who are afflicted from access to firearms, and better identification of those who may be ill or suffering. Read my full synopsis of this issue at FromTheCornfield.com. Casts away stigma of mental illness. A big question hanging in the air is, how was this man, with well-documented issues with mental illness, able to legally purchase firearms? Taking from Peter to pay Paul. Check out my article on an intended consequence of the Affordable Care Act hitting seniors and those on disability as of June 1st. You can read all about it at FromTheCornfield.com. Malaysian Flight 370. Inmarsat, the satellite data company, which recorded the transmissions from the lost Flight 370, is coming under fire today after releasing the raw data. Families of the missing passengers and crew are claiming that the company has left out critical information about how the data pinpointed the southern Indian Ocean as where the commercial airliner went down. What is being asked for is how the company determined the location. The company said it is up to the Malaysian government to release the model used to interpret the data, not the company. You will be assimilated. Kentucky Junior Senator Rand Paul, heir to his father's liberty movement, has learned to win and push forward. Sometimes you have to give a little. In the wake of his father's failed presidential campaign, the liberty movement took over several Republican state committees, but seem to have moderated their more fringe positions. I've said for over 3 years now that the senior Paul was pouring the foundation from which his son could launch himself into the Oval Office. Part of that plan, I believe, is moving more toward the mainstream. On the other hand, the Tea Party may be starting to learn that it is better to be assimilated and renounce its position of no compromise ever than to keep losing elections. The grassroots organizations have been handed loss after loss so far this primary season, with only one or two exceptions. The Tea Party has to decide whether it's better to fit in, have a place at the table where they can help shape the direction of the GOP, or find themselves on the losing end with no home. The Pope. Someone seemed to wonder why I didn't mention the visit of the Bishop of Rome to the Holy Land over the weekend. As a non-Catholic, to me, the Pope is a religious leader and not a world, secular, political figure. It's understandable why the media in Hollywood tend to hang on to every word and action of the Pope when a majority are Catholic. But we never read and hear about the activities of the General Overseer of the Church of God, the denomination in which I was raised. No headlines for the General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God, the denomination I attended and supported in my early adult life. There is seldom a blip in the media about the Archbishop of Canterbury, the titular head of the Anglican Church worldwide. What about the Patriarch of Antioch or Alexandria or Greek Orthodox or Coptic churches? Are not these religious leaders also worthy of news coverage if the Pope is afforded headlines? To my many dear and loved friends who are Catholic, I hate to break it to you, but Christendom does not revolve around the Holy See. First Lady pushes back. After revelations that school children are refusing to buy lunches, First Lady Michelle Obama is pushing back, saying that Congress has a responsibility to provide the means to continue nutritional standards and funding for what many critics, children, say are tasteless and not satisfying menus. Will the First Lady succeed in her quest to dictate what America's children eat over the objection of both the children and parents? Will Congress discard its plan to allow cash-strapped school districts where children are refusing to buy meals to opt out of the healthy eating program as the First Lady insists they do? Wait, that's the bell. Class is over. I'm out of here. Well, that's what caught my attention for Tuesday, May 27th, 2014. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Kernels from the Cornfield. I'm Mark Ivy. Good evening.